All right, I think we're live. Hold on 1 second, make sure I got everything recording. Here we go. There we go. Can you guys see me? Let's go. All right, so today is Tuesday, March 4th, and this is our weekly Q&A. So, like usual, I'm here for you guys today. Any questions that you have, any barber related or barbershop owner related questions that you guys have, you can always hop on these live Q&As, and I will answer them for you. Not, because that's the kind of stuff I wish I had when I was getting started. So that's why I do this. I get content out of it as well, so everybody wins, and that's why I do this, because I want to give back, because you guys maybe aren't making as much as you should or that you think you should, and that's why I'm here to help. So I typically work with just barbershop owners. That's why I have two communities though online that are, anybody can join. One is free for everybody. It's called the Barber Mastermind. And the other one is for barbershop owners. It's pretty much exclusively. Unless you want to open a barbershop, then, then that's also, you're going to be a barbershop owner. You're just not one yet. So that the idea for that community is getting you ready to open a barbershop, or if you have a barbershop, getting you hopefully to try to get to 7 figures or beyond. Because it took me almost 10 years to learn how to do it. So I want to try to give back so that you guys can get there faster. Because ultimately, if you can grow your barbershop, pay your barbers more, take better care of clients, I feel like that makes the world a better place. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but that's the way I tend to think. So I do these calls to give back because not all of you are going to be able to join my community, and that's fine. So anybody can hop on these live calls. I do that on Instagram, YouTube, and I think Facebook as well every single week. Cuts by Kitson, welcome. This is our live Q&A that we do every single week. If you guys have any questions related to barbering, owning a barbershop, whatever, type it in the chat and then I will answer them as they come up. I think we're going to go, might be a shorter call today, just kind of depends on how many questions roll in. But I think we're going to go about 30 minutes today, so it's about 5:03 my time. So we'll see. If there's no questions towards that half hour mark, then I'll just end it early. While we're waiting on questions to come in, what I will do is I'll start going through like our agenda. Off the grid fades, welcome. So what's new in the community? If you guys don't know, I have a free community for barbers and barbershop owners. It's called the Barber Mastermind. The link is in my bio wherever you're watching this. If you go to my bio, there's a link to join my free community, and anybody can join. It takes like 2 seconds to create a profile, just so you know, like with that's also free. Vital Cuts, the Fade Lounge, Carlito's Way, welcome. This is our Q&A. If you have any questions, barber related, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm here for you guys for the next half hour to hour or so, depending on how many good questions come in. So what's new in the community? If you guys didn't know, I have a free barbershop or free barber community. I also have a barbershop owner community where I specifically talk about how to run a barbershop based on the 10 years plus of me doing it and growing to over 7 figures. So one thing that's coming this month is a whole course on pretty much everything I've learned about how to hire barbers. So that's going to be like, I think people are really going to be excited about that. You should be, because if you're trying to get to 7 figures, you know that it's pretty hard to do that without other people. So that's coming soon, probably this month. And then the Meta ads course, so how to run ads on Meta, in other words, Facebook and Instagram. That course is probably going to be done this month. I'm working with my coach who actually helps me with my ads to do that. So that's why I can't really say for sure because it kind of depends on his time. But one thing that is available now in our barbershop owner communities, we actually have a brand new affiliate program where you guys can actually join, get access to everything, and then you will have your own affiliate link. So if you end up getting somebody else to join through your affiliate link, then it lowers the cost of you being in the group. Or if you refer enough people, then you actually get to be in the group for free. So the way it's set up right now, and this could change, but right now the affiliate commission for being in the group and referring somebody is 40%, 40. So if you refer somebody after you join the group and they join using your link, you get 40% of whatever they pay. And then, so if you do the math, right, if you refer 3 people, then you're actually getting paid to be in the group. So yeah, kind of crazy. I'm really, really excited about that, because one thing that I want to work towards being, or having the barbershop owner group specifically for barbershop owners, is making it so that I'm not the only one, right? Because right now I'm pretty much the only one doing these calls and, posting courses and stuff like that. But long term, 5-10 years from now, I envision this being like, there's like 10, 20, 30 coaches inside the group where everybody's just contributing. There's like different types of calls going on. So if you want to learn about memberships, there's a call for that. If you want to learn about retention, there's a call for that. So that's kind of what I envision long term for the barbershop owner community. And I may end up opening it up to more than just barbershop owners. Right now I'm specifically focused on barbershop owners because I feel like that's who I can help the best, right? Because that's what I do. Like I do cut hair part-time now. I mean, I've been a barber for 10 years, so I definitely understand the cutting hair side of it. But what I do on a daily basis is everything to do with how to grow a barbershop. So we got a question here from the Fade Lounge. Let me just go ahead and pin this so I can answer that for you guys. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. So his question is, think is best to hire new upcoming barbers or experienced barbers? What's your opinion? Great question. So I've kind of learned this the hard way. Maybe not the hard way, but I've just kind of learned this lesson that your strategy, and this is something that I'm going to talk about, or that I have already recorded inside of our hiring course, is that your strategy for hiring completely depends on your resources. So what that means is, if you have the ability to take somebody fresh out of school, train them for 3-6 months to the point where they're great, then go ahead and hire people that are fresh out of school. But if you don't have that ability right now, if you don't have dedicated trainers, then I would go to looking for people that have more experience, if that makes sense, right? Because you don't have enough resources to take that person who needs attention and help, and you're probably gonna have to fix every haircut they do. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough resources. You don't have enough people to get that person to where they need to be. So it really just depends on where you're at as a barbershop. Do you feel like you can hire somebody who's fresh out of school and then dedicate somebody, like pull them off the floor, block out their schedule so that they can't take appointments, to kind of babysit this person? Because if not, then you probably want to go more the experienced barber route. And there's nothing wrong. Welcome, Trey Blended That, David C. Hair, welcome, hello. So right now I'm answering this question about whether you should hire new or experienced barbers. And it really just depends on your resources. So does that make sense? The Fade Lounge, like, there's no wrong way. It just kind of depends on, because they have specific needs, right? And if you can't meet those needs, then I don't know if that is fair to like bring them on board. So if you can't like give them the training they need, then I would say don't even hire them, because I can tell you that that's super stressful. It's stressful for them. It's stressful for your team. It's stressful it just stresses everybody out in general, right? So don't do it unless you're able to actually put some time into training them. Now, in the long term, I can say, because I've experienced this, that building somebody up from scratch can actually be like really, really good in the long term, right? But just know that it takes like 6 months to get them there based on what I've done. And maybe I'm not that good at training. Maybe you can get it there. Maybe you can get them there faster than I did. But one of my best barbers started with us with no experience. Like, she went to hair school during COVID. So she did like one haircut before she started with us. So she was not good at all. So that took a solid 6 months. And then, but now she's one of our best barbers. So like, it can absolutely pay off in the long term. The question is, can you survive that in between phase when they start to when they're actually making money for you? And I also have found that it is not as simple as can you train them, because sometimes it's really a kind of this intersection of it has to be the right person at the right time in the right barbershop. That's the ultimate question of whether this is a good idea or not. Because she was the right person who started at the right time at the right place. Because when she started, I wasn't cutting hair at all. My wife, who's also a barber, wasn't cutting hair at all. So we had all day to train her, right? If she would have started like a year later, I don't know that she would have been as successful, right? So sometimes it's a timing thing. And it has to be the right person too, because we had other people start during that time that didn't end up being as successful, and we were available to train them, but the mindset on their end wasn't there. Like, they just didn't care, right? So it has to be like a combination of things. Like, it has to be the right person, the right time, the right place. And if those three things are in line, then it can end up working out really, really well. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. If you guys have any other questions, I'm here for you guys for the next 15 to 30 minutes or so. But like I was mentioning earlier, if you guys are just joining the Q&A, if you're not already in my free group, the link to get to that is in my bio. It's 100% free. I do have another group that's not free for barbershop owners if you're more serious about actually growing your shop. But if you just want to join the free group and check it out, the link to that is in my bio. It's called the Barber Mastermind. If you're not part of that platform school, it's 100% free to join it. You just have to create a profile. And like I was saying earlier, you can actually, if you join my barbershop owner community, we actually have an affiliate program now. So you can actually, in theory, you can actually like make money from being in the group if you refer enough people. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to help turn the group into something really, really special, where people are actually, there's more than just a few people contributing, you know. I guess that's the downside of like working with exclusively barbershop owners, is like, we're all busy, you know. Like, besides this time right now, like, my day is most of the time pretty busy. So and the other people in the group are the same way, but there's courses. I record these calls so they can watch them if they're not able to make it live. And yeah, but that is how my groups work. As far as like what's top of mind right now for me and for my barbershop, the things that we're kind of working on, the challenges that we have, we actually have had some really good luck lately, because I've been implementing a lot of the things that I talk about in my hiring course that's coming out soon, about how to hire barbers. And so now we actually have way more barbers that want to work for us than we actually have chairs available, which is exactly what the position that you want to be in if you're a barbershop owner, or if you're just hiring in general, because you want to have options, right? Like, you want to be able to be picky. Just like when you're a barber starting out, I think that in the beginning, like, you take what you can get, you know. But over time, as you get busier, you could almost even start to choose who you put on your schedule, right? In the beginning, I don't think you should do that. You take what you can get, because you should just be grateful that this person is letting you cut their hair. But over time, as you get busier, it's like supply and demand, right? You can actually be like, I don't think I'm going to rebook this guy. I don't know if if I want to see this person again. So you can actually start to be a little bit more picky over who ends up in your chair. Most people, I think, based on the barbers that I've talked to, like a lot of barbers never get there to the point where they can actually be picky with who ends up in their chair. But just know that that's one of the positives that comes with it. If you do end up getting to 80, 85%, 90% client retention, at that point you have options. Like you can start to choose which days you want to work, and you're gonna your schedule's gonna fill up. You don't have to accept every appointment that ends up on your schedule, because you know that if you move that appointment to somebody else's schedule, that it's going to fill in with somebody else because you're in demand. There's a lot of things that come with being really good at marketing and having high client retention, but it's the in-between that sucks. It's like building is a hard part. It's like when you first start working out, if it's been a while or if you're new to it, like you're just going to be sore like all the time, but then eventually you get stronger and you rebuild and the weights start to feel lighter. So I think it's kind of like that starting at a barbershop. It's like the beginning sucks, right? But over time it starts to get a little bit easier, and then all of a sudden you have a new problem, because every time I've hired a barber, it's like they all have the same goal when they start, where they just want to be busy. They want to be booked all day. And then I fill their schedule and they start to get to the point where their client retention is so high that they pretty much don't have any white space in their calendar. And then they start complaining, they start complaining that they're too busy, that they need breaks, and it's like, oh man. So I think it's really funny. Because it's like when you first start, all you want is to make money. And then when you're making money, it's like all you want is a break. All you want is to get off your feet and eat some lunch. But it's like you got exactly what you asked for, And some people just don't realize that that's the cost. Like if you want to be booked all day, that's the cost. You might go without eating lunch. You might be on your feet for 10 hours straight, So yeah, I've seen that happen. I've seen that play out many, many times. So Vital Cuss wants to know, how do you implement a 4-day work week and the effect it has on your team? Great question. So this is something, I forgot where it came from. I think it came from the fact that we wanted to start splitting stations, and which basically means that you have more barbers working than you have stations available. So they're sharing, essentially. So what we decided to start doing was we extended the hours. I don't remember what the hours were at the time that we started doing this, but we extended them so they were longer days. And then we said, we're going to do a 4-day work week. And then, well, it's really 3.5, and then we had 2 barbers working from the same station. So we set up a schedule to where it was like, I think it was Sunday through Wednesday. Wednesday was a half day. And then the other kind of like schedule was Wednesday through Saturday. So the person that was working Sunday through Wednesday left at like halfway through the day on Wednesday. They took their tools out of their station. We put them in the lockers that we bought so that they could keep their tools close by. And then the other shift would come in, put their tools in the station, and then they would work Wednesday through Saturday. So that worked out really, really well. And that's kind of how the 4-day work week started. And this is one of the examples of something that I thought was kind of like, I didn't think it was like going to be a big deal, but it turns out to be like one of those things that our clients, our barbers really, really value, is like the fact that they can take 3 days off, and if you're busy cutting hair, like from open to close, that's usually enough. Like when I find that most barbers that I talk to that have that reaction of like, only 4 days a week? Like, what? It's because they're doing like one haircut a day, you know? So the thought of doing only 4 days a week is like insane to them. But if you're doing 15, 20 haircuts a day, like for a lot of people, 4 days is enough, you know? So it's all perspective, you know? So if you're doing one haircut a day, then you should be working 7 days a week for sure, you know? But if you're doing 15, 20 or more haircuts a day, 4 days a week might be enough, especially if they're long days. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's certainly like, it turns out to be one of those quote unquote benefits that turned out to be like one of the most valued. And it's one of those things that like benefits don't always have to have a cost, you know? So like a 4-day work week isn't necessarily like a cost to the business, you know? It might even be a benefit in the way that, you, like I just said, you can split stations. And if you set up the hours properly, they can still get close to 40, you know? 40 hours just working 4 days a week. Like pretty much every doctor's office do this. Like our Southside location is right next to like a walk-in clinic, and they do 3-day work weeks, you know? They do 12-hour shifts. So they work 3 days, and that's 36 hours. And then they're done for the rest of the week. I've considered doing that, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing that. I have thought about it because it would make scheduling easier, like 3 days, and then maybe a half day, and then another 3 days, and a half day, and then you get like 40 hours, but you only work 3 days a week. You know? I think they would love it, but those days that you're there would suck. Like 12 hours nonstop cutting hair. So, I mean, I think, and another thing that another like no cost benefit to that you can offer to your barbers is a fixed schedule. So a lot of like franchises and corporate places change the barber's schedule every week, where we don't do that. It's just like, this is the schedule and it's going to be the same every week. And the only time we would change that is if we felt like a different schedule would be more beneficial for you as a barber. So like, for example, you normally work on Tuesdays. Tuesdays have kind of been sucking lately, so let's drop Tuesdays and let's have you pick up Thursday instead. That's the only time we would change it. And then otherwise, it stays fixed. And so there's a lot of benefits to that. There's some downsides too. There's no perfect system, but one of the benefits is clients can kind of memorize your schedule. So they know like if Saturday is the only day they can get their haircut, they know you're going to be there because you have the same damn schedule every week. For the barbers, making plans outside of work becomes super easy because they know for a month in advance what days off they're going to have. So definitely a big benefit. One of the downsides is like if you have a barber that gets used to having a fixed schedule, like what we offer, man, they don't want to deviate from that. So like somebody calls out sick, you know, and like you need help, man, it's hard to find people that want to fill that. So there's some downsides that come with it. But in general, I would say the pros outweigh the cons of having a fixed work week, 4-day work week. And yeah. So hopefully did that help? Did that help answer your question? If you guys have any questions, just type them in the chat. Wherever you're watching this, I can see all of the comments coming on in one spot. So if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, I can see all your comments and I'll just try to answer them as fast as I can. This is just a live Q&A that I do every single week. For now, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how many people end up joining. All right, so I have a barber in my shop that does that, and his work rate actually went up. Used to the 50 cuts a week, and now he does 60 to 64. That's awesome. So yeah, so that's the thing that like I was just telling somebody earlier. Like it doesn't matter how many hours you work. What matters is sales per hour. Like what do you do when you're there? So I have barbers that work 3-4 days a week that sometimes make more than barbers that work 5, even 6 days a week. because what matters is your sales per hour. What did you do when you were there? And if you are busy, if you're retaining clients, and if you're booked all day, then you're gonna make more than somebody who's not busy. The hours don't really matter that much, right? So what's more important is what you do when you're there. So you can absolutely make a lot, like really, really good money working 4 days a week. You just have to be really, really busy. So I don't know that you should start there if you're a barber that's just starting out. But if you're busy, then you can cut back your hours and probably make the same, if not more, like in your case, like your barber's case, than somebody who works more, right? But you got to earn that. Like I'm sure that barber earned that, right? It's like you can't just start there. You have to get to that point. You have to see a lot of clients, and then some of them come back, some of them don't, and then over time you get busier, and then you get there, right? And then at that point, when you have high retention, then you can start to think about maybe having a little bit of work-life balance. Like I'm not somebody that cares about work-life balance, but some people do, right? So they don't want to work weekends anymore. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to get to that point. Like you can't start there. You have to there's a step in between, which is you have to fill your schedule first, right? You got to build some clientele, and then maybe in the future you can take weekends off or whatever. There's nothing wrong with taking weekends off, but I don't think you should start there. I think you should put in the work as many days as possible, and then maybe one day when you've done enough work, you can take the weekends off. Like I don't work weekends, like not in the shop. I work every day, but I'm not cutting hair. But I've also been doing this 10 years. So yeah, I think you should consider it, maybe test it. Maybe think about testing it with a few people, look at their numbers, and see if it works. For some people it might benefit them, for some it might hurt them. What we try to do is we try to set it up so that they're usually there this is the way we think about scheduling. And I should back up a little bit, because what we do is we track what's called utilization. So our system looks at how busy we were, and it kind of gives us a percentage. So for example, if we're open for 10 hours and we were booked for 5 hours, our utilization will be 50%. That would be really slow, right? But that's just an example. So what we do is we look at the days throughout the week that have the highest utilization. And then when we hire a new barber, that's their schedule. It's that simple. It takes a lot of work beforehand to kind of figure that out. But we don't guess when it comes to the schedule. We don't go off that barber's preference. And if you're following the stuff in our hiring course, hopefully you have a lot of barbers applying to work with you, so that this person's availability sucks. Okay, that's fine. Good luck. We're going to talk to this person over here that has more availability. And then you put them on the days that you need the help. Because if you're trying to grow your business and you're adding a barber, especially if you're paying them a guaranteed pay like we do, it's really risky hiring people. So what you want to do is try to mitigate some of that risk and just put them on the days where they're most likely to be busy. At the end of the day, it's going to be just a best guess, because you never really know exactly what's going to happen when you add a barber to your schedule. One thing I can say for sure is that your utilization will drop, right? Because just because you add barbers to the schedule doesn't necessarily mean that they're just going to fill up. So utilization will drop. The amount of the drop will depend on how big your team is. So if you have 8 barbers and you add a 9th one, the drop isn't really going to be that dramatic, because you're not adding that many hours relative to how many hours you had already. But if you have 2 barbers and you had a 3rd, that's going to be a really dramatic change. You're going to feel that. You're going to feel so much slower. when you have a small team and then you add another barber. But it's certainly something you can test, and that's ultimately the best, I think, question to anything. Most of the things that you guys can ask is like, just test it. Test it with a few people, if you have multiple people on your team, and see if it helps make them more money and have a better work-life balance. Because you'd be surprised, man. I think I get a lot of shit anytime I say this, but like, I still really believe that like a lot of people, like have this number in their head, like, and once they start making that, they just let off the gas, right? Like they don't want to do more, right? And that number is different for everybody. It's, for some people it's 500 a week. For some people it's 1,000 a week. For some people it's 2,000. But everybody has a number in their head that once they hit that, they're good. Well, most people, right? Some people don't have a number, right? They don't have a limiter. They don't have a governor. They're just like, they want more. And I think I'm one of those people. And I think a lot of business owners are, where there really is like, there is no, like, there's not going to be a point where there's enough. Like, you're just like, enough is as much as possible, right? And maybe I'll know when I get there, but I haven't gotten there yet, to where it's like, this is good. I think I will just keep it here, But a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people they just want just enough to pay their bills, and then they're good. And I don't really listen to what people tell me when they're talking about they want to make this much or they want that much. Because what I do is I look at their behavior. I look at their actions. And that's what tells me how hungry you are. It's not what you say, not what you say you want to make. It's not when you say how motivated you are. It's not when you can tell me whatever the hell you want. Just know that I'm one of those people that's going to smile and nod, and I'm going to make you think that I agree with you. And then I'm just going to watch what you do. And that's what ultimately tells me how hungry you are, is what do you do when you think I'm not watching? And that's the difference between the people that make a lot of money and the people that don't, is what you do, what you actually do to make more. Not what you say, but what you actually do with your actions. And that's the difference, So if you guys have any other questions, type them in the chat. I'm here for you guys for a little bit longer. This is a Q&A that we do typically every week. It's starting to look like Wednesdays are a better day to do this. Today is Tuesday, March 4th, and I've been testing. Every week is kind of a different time, just because I'm doing them in the morning versus doing them in the evening, which it's the evening right now for me. I'm in Florida, but I think like on the West Coast, it's probably like 2:30 or something, like 1:30 or whatever. So I could see how that could be like kind of a tough time for you guys to join, but ultimately the time that we do these calls, like long term, is going to depend on like how many people join, how many questions get asked, the feedback from you guys, because I don't want to do this unless I can help you guys, right? If there's nobody joining or nobody asking questions, then I'm gonna stop, right? I'm gonna at least stop that time, right? And I'm gonna try a different time that works better. But yeah, you guys feel free to type any last questions in the chat. One of the things that's going on in my shop right now, besides the fact that we have more barbers that want to work for us than we have chairs available, is our membership program has been doing pretty decent. I had a really good call earlier today with a barbershop owner that has 11 locations, which is awesome. So I learned a lot about the memberships and how he thinks about that, and it just kind of confirmed that like every barbershop owner, I think, should be thinking about offering memberships. This guy built his entire business off memberships, so I was really excited to talk to him. So I think that if you're not offering memberships, you may want to look into it, because I think you might be left behind by the barbershops that are, if you're not thinking about it. Let's see. So we got one question here. How can make more money? I am not doing the numbers that I'm used to. Well, how many haircuts a day are you doing right now? Or I think I need a little bit more context. But okay, so there's only a few ways to grow a barbershop. And in your case, if you're an individual barber, this still applies. You can either get more clients, which is marketing, or you get those clients to spend more, which is way harder. But ultimately, the part of the equation that ultimately ends up putting more money in your pocket if you focus on that side. So it just depends on which side of the equation you're working on, because it's rare that people have both of those problems, where you have a lot of clients that are also not but you're not making enough money, like you're busy but you're broke. If that's the case, then that's probably an easier problem to solve, because you just either raise your prices, sell more products, you create some more efficiency in your appointment booking, so you don't have all these gaps in your schedule. You cut faster. You create some kind of incentive, like a membership program, where they continue to come back and pay you for years. So it really just depends on what issue you have. Most barbers and barbershop owners that I talk to tend to have one of those two problems, not both. And a lot of people think they need more clients. And if that's the case, then that's probably the only thing you should be focused on, is just marketing. But if that's not the case, then you probably need to focus on the other side of the equation, which is that you're not retaining clients, you're not charging enough, you have a lot of inefficiency going on in your appointment book, or you need to cut faster, or you need to find ways to increase your average ticket, which ultimately increases the client lifetime value. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps you, but it just depends on which problem you have. It's either a marketing problem, or there's like a business problem, right? The business side, I think, is the one that ultimately, it's the one that took me the longest to learn, because once you learn marketing, you're going to have enough clients. Then the next problem you're going to have is like, I'm busy, but I don't have enough money. And that's when you start to think about that, right? So we got another question here from Jera Barber list. I want to do a membership where I charge $20 per haircut, but you need to come twice a week. I would only set 20 minutes per appointment. What do you think? Kind of hard to make a judgment on that. I think I would need a little bit more context. Twice a week seems like kind of a lot. Why? It just depends. Oh, how did you get that number? It just depends on like what you charge per haircut. I can tell you how my membership is set up. It's basically, I think it's as a 15 or 20% discount. So our regular haircut is $45. If you're a member, then it's $35. Simple, right? And we have different types of memberships. The guy that I talked to earlier priced his memberships based on, so this is your regular haircut, and then the membership price was 1.5 times the regular haircut. So what that might look like is, if your regular haircut is $20, then your membership price might be $35, right? And if they come in at least twice a month, then it's worth it for them and it's great for you. If they come in more than that, then it's an even bigger deal for them and still good for you, right? Because most people tend to come in, and even though their membership credit covers the service, it ends up, they end up tipping, right? Or they buy a product. So actually, that's the thing that a lot of things that maybe I don't talk about enough, but like the money from memberships isn't just in the membership, but like they end up tipping typically pretty well. And they end up buying more products and coming back more frequently than people who aren't on the membership. But the ultimate thing is they end up staying around longer, which is this Barber game in my opinion, is all about lifetime value. Like how long can you keep that client so that they spend more money with you? That's the game. Like, and the people that grow the biggest are the ones that have figured that out, right? Like they have figured out like how to keep people coming back. And they might even be charging less than you, but they might be making more than you because they're keeping more clients. Yeah. He said, so I charge $30. There's a huge delay in my comments, just so you guys know. So if I don't read your question right away, just know that like there's like a massive delay on my side for some reason. So I charge $30 per haircut, 30-minute to 40-minute slots. I do average 38 per transaction. I think that $20, if they have to come in twice a week, I don't know how many people would actually would do that. It just depends on your clients. I know that our frequency of visit for our shop is 7 times a year. So that ends up being like every 5 to 6 weeks, something like that. Somewhere in that range, right? It's definitely not every month. That's actually closer to 8 weeks, but it just depends on your clientele. I know that there's some places of the country that's pretty common. They're coming to the barbershop twice a week. Not super common in our shop. So the way I thought about my memberships is I wanted to have either one membership that appealed to a lot of people or a few memberships that appeal to different kinds of people. So that's how I would think about it. Like seems like it would be like super limited to like people that were willing to come in that frequently. And if that's most of your clients, then there's nothing wrong with that. But I would think about maybe restructuring that to appeal to a bigger crowd, because not a lot of people, in my experience, are going to be coming in that frequently, you know? But I'm glad that you're thinking about it. Yeah. But most of the memberships that I've seen and the way mine are set up is a discount on the regular price. And the way I set mine up was they get a credit when they pay for their membership, and they can use that credit whenever they come in. So that we don't have to tie it to a specific timeline, like you have to come in this many times, because I also set up the memberships so that they don't, the credits don't expire. So they don't have to come in. Like even if they cancel their membership, they can still use that credit because they paid for it, right? So hopefully that helps you. So you started the membership before anyone, like 30 years ago? Okay, cool. And then I need to learn how to market. Okay. So the marketing is pretty much a matter of resources. So if you have time, then you use time. Like you use what you have, right? If you have money, then you use that. The money, it just depends on what you have more of. You got time, you got money. If you don't have time, then you got to spend money. So that's running paid ads. Most of our clients from the paid ad side come from Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. That's why I'm making a course on it, because I really believe in it. And I'm just now starting to experiment with Google Ads. I don't know enough about it yet to make a recommendation on it or not, but that's the paid ad side. If you don't have money, but you have time, then you do the free stuff. You know, you go out and pass business cards, you post on social media. I hate those methods, to be honest. My favorite way of getting clients for free is DMing people. So you can look up people on Instagram in your area and you can find them and message them. It's very time intensive, but if you're not busy, then maybe you have some time to do this, right? And it's a volume game too, just so you know, so that because if you start doing it, I don't want you to get like disappointed, like, oh my gosh, I sent 100 DMs and nobody responded. Like, send 100 more. You know, it's like not everybody's gonna respond right away. You know, they're not thinking about their hair. Like, you're a barber, so naturally you're thinking about doing haircuts all day, but most people don't think about their hair like that, you know? So, or they might see it and forget to respond, or it goes to their their requests folder in Instagram. There could be a lot of reasons why people don't respond. That's why it's a volume game. But you got to do something to build your clientele. They're not just going to come. Not until you have a massive reputation, That's the only time I would say that like clients are actually just going to come to you, right? Is when but you got to earn that. You got to do the work to build the reputation to that point where like you don't really have to try anymore to market. Until you get there, you should be focused on marketing. That was my mindset when I was getting started, or at least when I was learning how to cut hair. Like my mindset was, if I have time to cut hair, it's because I'm not that good. So I'm gonna learn how to cut hair better from YouTube, from going to hair shows, from watching other people, and I'm gonna keep doing that until I don't have time to do that anymore. And that's exactly what I did. And I think that's the same approach that you need to take with marketing. Keep marketing until you don't have time to market anymore. So that's kind of like your signal. Like if you have time, probably need to do more marketing, right? And if you are doing a lot of marketing, you're getting a lot of clients, but you still need more, then that could be an indication that you have a retention problem. And that was something that took me way too long to learn. But just so you know, I want you to make money. So this might hurt your feelings, but it's the truth that if you're seeing a lot of clients, but they're not coming back, then that may be an indication that you're not retaining them. Okay? And maybe they just forgot about it. Maybe they don't get their haircut that often. So what you could do is reach back out to anybody that you've already cut and see if they want to come back. But if not, then it's probably a retention problem. Like they don't want to come back. So we have to figure out that, like solve that problem. Right? Because if you go really hard on the marketing, for example, and you get good at getting clients in, but you don't retain them, then you got to keep doing it, man. You got to keep doing it every month, and that's not like, it sucks, Like marketing is expensive. Even if you're not spending time, like it's cost, or if you're not spending money, like if you're spending time, like it's a big time expense. So I would think about like trying to figure out if you're getting a good amount of clients, but they're not coming back. It could be an indication that there's a retention problem and that you're not retaining as many clients as you should. And in my experience, in my shop, what I've seen with myself and with all the barbers that have worked with me, the barbers that make the most money, that basically never have a slow day, that are immune to seasons, that are immune to how many barbers I hire, and that take home the most income-wise, are the barbers that have the highest retention. And those are not always the barbers that have the best fades or that have the best lines. It's usually people that you would just not think, just by looking at them, that they're one of the best barbers in my shop, but they are, right? And that's because they got great customer service. They take great notes on their clients. They're reliable. They're not calling out on the time. If the hours on the door, that's the hours that they're there. They're not leaving early. They're team players, and they make the clients feel comfortable. They make the clients like want to come back, right? And also in my experience, like the people that tend to talk about marketing are typically people that are either newer to the business, that you're just getting started, or people that have like a retention problem. Again, I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but that's the reality, right? Like you probably have seen enough clients in the last few years to where like if all of them came back, you would never have a slow day again. So then the money question is answering that question is, why aren't people coming back, and what can I do to solve that? What can I do to get them to come back? And really, it's really that simple. It's not easy, but simple. Get people in with marketing. and then get them to come back. If you're good at both of those, in 6 months, you will never have a slow day again. I've seen people start from 0 to getting fully booked, no white space in their schedule in 3 months. It's because of the retention. You know, we had marketing coming in, you know, bringing them in, but they kept them. So it's like filling a bucket of water. You know, I have a video on my YouTube channel that I literally do that. I fill a water bottle and I drilled holes in it just to kind of give you an example of like, this is what it looks like when barbershop owners are trying to build their barbershop, but they haven't solved the retention problem. So it's like trying to fill a bucket that has holes in it. Like, you're never going to fill that bucket until you plug those holes. And retention is the thing that's going to keep you busy in the long term. Even if you suck at marketing, right? If your retention is good enough, like in theory, you can become fully booked. Like, it's possible. So I hope that helps you. I hope you took that the way I meant it, which is start marketing for sure, but then also try to keep them, you know, keep them coming back. And probably the easiest thing you can do right now is just reach out to anybody you haven't seen in a while. Try to get them to come back in. And if they don't want to come back, try to figure out why. And then take that feedback and use it to get better. So that the next person, you can retain them. And then if you do that 6 months, a year, you'll be fully booked. I can almost guarantee that. Okay, so hopefully that helped you. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to call it for today. I have a free group. The link is in my bio. It's a Barbershop Mastermind. Wherever you're watching this, you can join. It's 100% free. And if you want to interact with me more, join the group. It takes like 2 seconds to create a profile. But it is actually free. Like, it's not a free trial, nothing. It's called the Barber Mastermind. And next week our call will be on I think it's on Wednesday next week. I've been testing different days, different times. So next Wednesday, if you want to join again, talk to me. I'll be here. Hope you guys have a good day. See you next week.